Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions, episode number 116, whiskey review number 54. Tonight, we're looking at a special Memorial Day weekend bottle of Hotel Tango bourbon ready to drink. Hotel Tango is a whiskey company distillery in Indianapolis, Indiana, founded by Travis Barnes in 2014. Barnes is a military veteran, Marine Corps veteran, fought in the Battle of Fallujah. He's in the Recon battalion, so he's been around and got out of the Marine Corps due to some injuries and completed law school. Started a whiskey distillery. This is a 90 proof bourbon, and it is sourced from Middle West Spirits in Columbus, Ohio. Total score 82. Letter grade B+. Recommendation: this is a good bourbon, but the primary value is for the military veterans to support a veteran-owned company with a extra cool bottle and a good, solid, but sourced product. Comparable bourbons would be Elijah Craig, Knob Creek, Jim Beam Extra Aged or Double Oaked. The price isn't bad at $37.99, but this is a sourced bourbon from Middle West Spirits. It's not originating from Hotel Tango. The real stuff from Hotel Tango costs about twice as much. For me, I'll likely keep a bottle of this around because it's a decent daily sipper, should go well in a cocktail, and like I said, it's just a cool bottle, and I'm a sucker for a cool bottle, and it supports veterans. So there you go. Now for the details. History. Barnes, after 9/11, dropped out of college and enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2002. He served in the 1st Recon Battalion in Iraq, did 3 combat tours, suffered injuries from IEDs. He attained the rank of sergeant. He fought in Fallujah and Ramadi, some of the toughest battles since Vietnam. He returned home and finished law school, married his wife Hillary, and in 2013 founded Hotel Tango. The Hotel Tango distillery uses the military phonetic alphabet for HT, the initials for Hillary and Travis. So there you go. It's a little bit of a love story there. It's part of the whiskey experience along with the military angle. So you combine those two things and it makes this product, even though it's sourced, makes it into something I'm interested in. The distillery was the first distillery in Indianapolis since Prohibition. So again, that's points in its favor. It's the first combat disabled veteran-owned distillery in the U.S. Now Hotel Tango products are sold all over the country in 50 military bases. So again, their marketing scheme has worked. The actual whiskey in here sourced from Middle West Spirits in Columbus, Ohio. And that distillery was founded in 2008. So both of these distilleries are fairly young. And Middle West Spirits is focused on elevating the distinctive flavors of the Ohio River Valley. They say they have a passion for making spirits grain to glass. They were Ohio's first craft distillery. And in March of 2023, they announced a major expansion that would make them attain the top 10 craft distilleries in America. So that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's pretty significant. They provide whiskeys to a lot of smaller distilleries all across the country. So they're not as big as MGP in Indiana, but I've seen Middle West Spirits around. Okay, plus they sell their own stuff. I've seen their stuff in the stores as well. The whiskey came with a tag that says it won gold at the San Francisco World Spirits in 2021 and rated a 94 by Wine Enthusiast. So those prizes are actually pretty impressive. So you know that speaks well for both companies that are involved here. All in all, on my rating scheme, history gets 0 to 5 points. So I'm going to give Hotel Tango a 5 for this. Small distillery with a veteran Marine founder. It's marketing to military bases around the country. It's got one of the absolute coolest bottles and labels around. I mean, anybody who knows what an MRE is looks at this and uh, immediately you think of it. You know, so that works. Second is marketing, bottle, and packaging. And here you can score 0 to 5 points. This veteran-owned company has been able to market its products to those military bases around the country. So that's a great plan. I mean, the bottle and the label, the marketing plan, all of that goes together. Bottle is a flask-style bottle, and the label is designed to mimic the military ration packages called MREs. I'm going to read some of this bottle here. It says Hotel Tango, distilled with discipline, American straight bourbon whiskey, bourbon ready to drink, pour with purpose, high standard issue, serve with honor, purpose of contents, to be served and consumed in pursuance of elevated company morale. This is a 45% ABV, 90 proof. And it says this side up to, I have to use this to store, and then this side down to pour. That's pretty good. On the back side, contents: American straight bourbon whiskey, aged 2 years. Description: aromas of caramel, balanced by rye. Best in a cocktail, i.e. old-fashioned. Directions: drink responsibly, behave less so. Okay, there you go. Production: distilled by Middle West Spirits, Columbus, Ohio. Bottled by Hotel Tango, Indianapolis, Indiana. The first combat disabled veteran-owned distillery in the USA. And it says beverage ration, HTBW. Drink in a cool, dry place. So again, just this is going to be one of my favorite bottles of all time, I think. And I'm just a sucker for marketing and bottles like that. So there you go. 5 points. Easy 5. Easy 5 points. Composition, up to 15 points here. This is a straight bourbon, aged 2 years, coming in at 90 proof, distilled by Middle West Spirits in Columbus, bottled by Hotel Tango. You know, they say they use a high rye mash bill here. So I don't know exactly what the mash bill is, but a high rye. I can tell that in drinking it. And my personal bourbon preferences are for a high rye mash bill. So this is definitely right in my wheelhouse. But to sell their whiskey, you know, they've got to be patient. They've got to let it age. A lot of distilleries are going to source some whiskeys so that you can get an income stream going. They choose a supplier, go in, they taste barrels to see what they think will be close to what their own distillery is going to make. And this practice is fine. It's legit. A lot of people use it. As long as they're honest about it, and Hotel Tango is honest, they say it on their label. I've seen some companies that try to hide that and obscure it, and it only confuses the issue. So kudos to Hotel Tango for being upfront and honest. I can deeply appreciate that. But Hotel Tango was founded in 2014, and so that was 9 years ago. They ought to be selling their own stuff by now, and on their website they do have a reserve bourbon that is aged for 6 years, and I would think that that is their own distilled aged whiskey. That stuff is available here in Fort Worth at Goody Goody, the same store I bought this. I just did not check the bottle out. I should have. But there, you're looking at $69 for a bottle of that, and so that tells you right away, hey, that's the craft distillery product there. But man, that's almost twice this. So yeah, I did not go that way yet. I'll probably eventually try that, but that's a chunk of change for me. Their marketing plan did get them exposure to over 50 military bases around the country, so that's great. But here's the deal. I doubt their small distillery could meet that demand. hence the need for sourcing. And that's why, even though they've been in operation since 2014, they're still selling sourced product. Okay, so I think it's a case of trying to expand quickly enough to meet the demand, and so they still have to source. So that's just my amateur estimate right there. But the benefit of that for the consumer is lower price. $37.99 for this bottle is not unreasonable. So there you go. Will Hotel Tango be able to sell their own juice soon at a lower price than that $69.99? I don't know. I bought this bottle early this year or late last year, so 2022, 2023, somewhere there. So my score for composition, because I don't have the whole mash bill, but I do know it's a high rye. I do know it's sourced. So those are positive points. So I'm going to say 12 out of 15 points for the composition. Appearance, 0 to 5 points here. This whiskey is a nice amber in color. I've been sipping on this glass for a while, so you can't really see it. But look at this color there. That's a pretty good rich amber for just a 2-year bourbon. That's decent color going on there. I tend to prefer darker bourbons. I'm spoiled because I live in Texas, and you can get a 1-year bourbon here that is darker than this. Okay, so I just prefer darker whiskeys. I don't know why. So appearance here, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Nosing. It has a normal bourbon nose to an extent, a little bit of caramel there, but I get that hint of rye. I can tell this is a high rye mash bill. It doesn't smell overly sweet, just a little bit of caramel going on there. Now, my nose is deficient in smelling, particularly bourbons. I can do ryes a little bit better and scotches. But that high rye percentage, I can smell enough. Spicy. It's sweet and spicy, woody. So I'm going to give this a 7, which is kind of the average score that I give bourbons. I mean, you really have to work in order for me to give you more than a 7. Because, and that's my fault. I mean, my nose just isn't very good at smelling whiskeys. Now let's go for the taste, the all-important taste. This hits a line drive through the bourbon notes with an emphasis on the spiciness because of the high rye. The super sweet bourbons turn me off. Okay, so if you're looking at Four Roses or Old Forester 100 benchmark, those things turn me off because they're too sweet. I like a bit of wood, the dark fruits here, the spicy touch. This is kind of like Old Grandad, maybe. Okay, that's what this reminds me of, or Elijah Craig, Knob Creek, Jim Beam Black, extra aged, double barreled, double oaked. That's where this is coming in, right? So it's very similar to those. So it's not the super sweet stuff. But I have to admit that I'm spoiled living here in Texas. I've got so many good Texas whiskeys that I'm finding that affects how I view every other whiskey. There's the barrel char, the Texas funk that I'm now used to. And so anything that doesn't have that, I almost struggle with. But second to the Texas funk is the high rye mash bills. And so this is a good whiskey. It's right in my wheelhouse. It's nothing really remarkable here, but it's a solid performer, a daily drinker. So out of 25 possible points, I'm going to give it a 20. Mouthfeel and finish. For a 90 proof, this has a very nice mouthfeel. It's got a lingering spicy finish. The wood notes, the bitterness from the wood tannins is there in a good way. And now, if you don't like the wood note, then you're not going to like this. Okay, if you want a sweeter bourbon, this is not going to be for you probably. But this is right down the middle of where I like it. Okay, it's not rough at all. It's not smooth either. Smooth is overrated for me. I like something that lets me know, hey, this is whiskey. You know, a little bit of burn. This doesn't have much of a burn. It's got a little bit of burn, but mainly it's the spicy rye notes in the wood that I'm getting here. So mouthfeel and finish, a 13 out of 15. Price, value, and availability. I can only find this locally in Fort Worth at Goody Goody's. Specs doesn't have it. Total Wine doesn't have it. And the price is $37.99, which is a decent price. I mean, it's not really a craft bourbon. It's coming from a craft distillery, but because it's sourced. So, you know, that price and availability thing is going to cost it a few points. So it's going to be a 7 out of 10 on price, value, and availability. Because for value, you know, that's a little bit more than Elijah Craig or Knob Creek, and a lot more than Jim Beam. A lot more than Old Granddad 100. So, neat or mixer. I think that I prefer neat all the way. I mean, I like cocktails. I'll go to my local distillery and get a cocktail, or at a restaurant. But if I'm here at the house, I'm going to be drinking neat. And this is perfectly fine for a daily drinker, for a sipper. You know, nothing wrong here. This would be, you know, I would reach for this in a heartbeat. I think it's also strong enough and has enough flavor to where it would do well as a mixer. So 5 out of 5 for neat or mixer. This is going to be good either way. Finally, my bonus points, up to 5 points of bonus here. Because of the military theme, being veteran owned, marketing to military bases, just the bottle. I mean, okay, I'm in love with the bottle. Got to tell you. I mean, that's just cool. So 5 points, definitely for the bonus. So my total score is an 82. And for me, you know, that's a little bit low, perhaps, but the sourcing thing is a problem for me. I think that's where this lost the most points, probably. So letter grade, though, is a B+, and B+, it focuses on flavor. And again, it probably lost some because, man, I'm spoiled with my Texas whiskeys. Just am. So, evaluation recommendation. The Hotel Tango Reserve Bourbon is available at Goody Goody for $69.99. And I'm sure that's the real stuff, the real product from HT, not the sourced. So I don't know what their marketing plans are for that. That $69.99 price may be, you know, that's pretty high. I don't know. Until then, though, this bottle of source product is good enough for me to keep on hand, along with my other military whiskeys like Hooten Young, Horse Soldier, Fighting 69th, Lead Slingers. So if you're into military-themed whiskeys, I'm going to say this is a solid buy, for sure. If military-themed whiskey is not your thing, for this price, you would probably do better with Knob Creek or Jim Beam Extra Aged, Double Oaked, Elijah Craig. So this is kind of a mixed review. I'm really trying to be fair here. But this is a case where it's a good, solid bourbon for a decent price. And not a great price, but decent. But man, the bottle and the people behind the bottle, the company behind it, what they did for America, that wins the day for me. So if you're like me, I'm going to say buy it. Conclusion. This has been a special Memorial Day edition whiskey review by Stab the Dragon for a special military-themed whiskey. That's pretty good. Until next time, Stab the Dragon, out here.